Hey there. Let's do this. Welcome to the Elder Scrolls Online. Yeah, really. This is the beta. They're allowing people to film and post whatever they want of this, and if you weren't aware, I've actually been streaming this over the past couple of days. The beta ends the 2nd, which at time of recording is tomorrow, so I'm guessing probably at midnight or maybe even midday, who knows. But I wanted to get a few things done before then, so I wanted to show you a bit of what I could about the game, because I have to admit that from what I've played recently, I've been pleasantly surprised. And one of the things I just wanted to show off right off the bat is the crafting system. Now, why would I do that? Because I feel that it kind of embodies their decisions with the way this game is going. So right now, I'm in a place called the Singing Shards. I'm actually in Davon's Watch in Morrowind, which is very cool and actually looks quite good, and reminds me a lot of the Morrowind in Morrowind. Yes, I know. Only brought back up to date, and it looks pretty good, so I think it's really cool. I'll show you that in a minute, but what I want to show you is this. This is an enchanting station. Now you can explore and find these runes. These runes. And there are a couple of types. You have potency, essence, and aspect runes, each of a different shape. And as you can see, they're different sort of versions. I have 2 potency runes of different kinds. Now, as you can see, it has a translation, which is very cool. And this works by finding these in the world. You have to explore and find these. When you do, you get a sort of random one, depending on the place you find them. So you'll find a blue square glowing, and you'll get a potency rune of some kind, but it can be different ones. And these have rarities, too. I've found green ones. I've seen people find purple ones as well. So here's how this works. You create a rune phrase by combining 3 of these, 1 of each kind. So I've used this one before. I know its translation means base, so ta. Now, I know this one means reduce, because I've also used it, but this one I can't use yet because I have not enough skill in enchanting. So I'll use this one. Now this one I've never used before, so I have no idea what it means, but the first time I use it, it will tell me. It'll translate it for me. So what's going to happen is I'm going to make a glyph. And it's going to have something to do with reduce and base, possibly. But I don't know what that means yet. So watch what happens. I go and craft this. Rune. So now I know that means magicka. Mako. So reduce, base, magicka. A phrase. What could that possibly mean? Well, let's look. Inventory, a trifling glyph of absorb magicka. Trifling is a lower level. So I can put this on weapons. There are different types of glyphs that can be put on different types of apparel. And it actually does damage and gives me some magicka. So I could say apply it to my axe, but it's already enchanted, so I probably can't, can I? Oh, I can. It'll replace it. I'm okay with that. Boom. There, done. Now it is an iron axe of absorb magicka. That's how enchanting works in this, which is quite a bit different than what you might be used to. But I thought the system is really cool, and it embodies something to me, and that is the fact that although I am not happy, I have to admit, with a lot of the things that Zenimax is doing with the lore of this game, pretty. I think that there are definitely some people there that know what the Elder Scrolls is all about. And they've translated that into an interesting MMO experience. So welcome to Morrowind. Yes. I have to say this game has a very impressive sense of scale. If you look at these towers and things, I mean, walking right up to one and just looking kind of straight up at it, it's really pretty impressive. And you can, of course, go in them and things, which is very cool. And, let's see, even other crafting disciplines like alchemy work like they do in the Elder Scrolls. So you need water. There are other solvents, I'm sure, probably maybe alcohols and things that produce higher level potions. And then you need reagents. Now I don't have any on me right now, but they work just like in other Elder Scrolls games where they have 4 effects that are unknown to you. You can eat one of them to discover an effect, and you can also brew them together and see what you get to discover their effects. That is not a very MMO-like crafting system. It's a very Elder Scrolls-like system. That's good, because what that means is well, basically what I'm getting from this beta is that it's more Elder Scrolls than it is MMO. There's still MMO elements to it, obviously, but I think they're doing a good job. So let's go to this blade works. I'm guessing there's probably, yeah, I can smelt some stuff.
Hello.
Go over to this blacksmithing station. This is how blacksmithing works. It's very cool, actually. So you start by extracting. So I can break some stuff and get materials from them. So this will also help to increase my blacksmithing skill. Might as well deconstruct these. Now I'm getting all kinds of different materials up here, as you'll see, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, you can also mine ore and things like that, of course, so might as well do that as well. There we go, bunch of iron ingots. You can also do this research thing, which is really interesting, where you can actually select types of traits for different weapons. It consumes a weapon and allows you to sort of research a weapon with a trait in order to create a weapon with that trait later. So here's how crafting works. You can make a weapon of any kind, so say a sword, and then you choose the material, which is of course in a natural progression. So iron, steel, orichalc, dwarven, ebony, calcinium, galatite, moonstone, and voidstone. And you can also, these take different amounts. So for a sword, I can use anywhere from 3 to 9 iron ingots. So if I use 3, it creates a level 1 weak sword. But if I go all the way up to 9, it creates a level 14 iron sword with pretty high damage. So you can actually spend more materials to create a better weapon of that tier. So I'd have to go down to 5. And also, they have styles. This is very cool. This reminds me of Skyrim Redone, the mod. And that, if you watch up here as I change, there are various styles. Which is, I mean, that's, again, very Elder Scrolls. All of the races, and even other races you can't even play as, have their own styles. And you can find them in drops, basically like from monsters and things, as little books that you read and can learn the style. And of course, you start with the style of your own race, so I can make Dunmerry weapons. They're primitive, Daedric, Imperial, and of course they each take a different type of material that's separate from the material used to make the weapon in its sort of tier. Ancient Elf, all kinds of them. So I have obsidian, so I can make Dunmer weapons, which look like this. Classic black style, very curvy and rather wicked looking. And also these traits we were talking about earlier, you can use basically gems, and it gives it a trait that is different from an enchantment because it doesn't need recharging, and it's not really magical. It's just sort of made into the weapon. So you just do that and hit craft, and you got it. And you do the same thing for armor. And again, armor also has styles, which is really, really cool because that adds a lot of basically equipment variety. I love the way Ancient Elf stuff looks. That's really cool. I don't know, it adds a lot of equipment variety to the game to me when all these various styles and things give you just different effects. That's really cool. That's a cool system, and that is, in my opinion, something very cool. Something it's just a good thing to add to the game because, again, it's very Elder Scrolls. You can also temper weapons. I don't have a honing stone, though. Dwarven oil, grain solvent, tempering alloy. Huh. Interesting. Alright, and the other crafting disciplines, like, say, the leatherworking, hang on, beta problem. The leatherworking and stuff work a lot like this, with the extraction and the styles and the production with extracted materials. So, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with that. What they're doing is prioritizing exploration, rewarding experimentation, which is something that you can't normally even do in a lot of MMOs. For example, I mean, a lot of alchemy systems, you have to have a specific recipe. in order to even do anything. You can't just randomly combine materials, and that's something you can do in an Elder Scrolls game normally. So they could have went the MMO route of making you not able to do that, or the Elder Scrolls route of basically allowing you to experiment and explore the world and find all these crazy runes and things, and make it a bit less, we'll just say a bit less MMO-esque. It still feels like an MMO for the most part. Combat is not as satisfying as a game like Skyrim, but it's still pretty good. It's kind of Oblivion level. A bit floaty. It's got some impact to it, as you can see. And things like the UI is obviously very Skyrim-esque. I will say they've actually added in back-end leg armor. You have actual greaves and stuff now. And you also have a belt, and also shoulder armor, which is a bit Morrowind style, but they're not separate, of course. You can have weapon sets, and of course you have accessories, so a costume, an amulet, and 2 rings. So, I don't know, it's an odd juxtaposition to me. It's a combination of an MMO and the Elder Scrolls, and while that may seem obvious, I mean that in mechanics-wise. So mechanically, you can also go around and find all these random quests. As you can see on my compass up there, that's a quest that I haven't found yet. And you can just be exploring the world, run into people, and do quests for them, which again, is very Elder Scrolls, but not very MMO-esque. So what that means to me is essentially, I don't know, it seems like they're trying. They are. There are even guilds like Fighters Guild and Mages Guild to join, but it seems like they're trying to make this MMO light in terms of mechanics, but in terms of the world, you know, very MMO-esque. But in terms of how it plays, more Elder Scrolls-ish. So it's a weird thing, but I like it. I really do. I think it's got some issues, I've got to say. I think that the game itself is pretty fun. Again, I'm pleasantly surprised by how it plays, but there are still some parts I don't necessarily like. The combat, I think, could feel better. The spells aren't super satisfying. I'm playing a Dragon Knight. I have spells like this fiery one that enchants my weapons with fire. I can shoot a chain at people and pull them towards me. I can throw a big stone. My ultimate puts down a big banner that does a bunch of fire damage around me and stuff.
Hey.
But none of it is super satisfying, I have to admit. It feels alright. Again, it feels kind of Oblivion level. I believe that for all of Skyrim's faults, it improved on how the combat system felt. And as you can see here, there's a lot of stuff to do. I have all these various quests, different options on how to distract this bartender. There are various quest lines that actually make you make a choice. For example, early on I had to save a certain part of this city, but I can only choose one area. Now I have a choice that has to do with the way to bind these spirits. I can bind them and enslave them, or I can free them and make them disappear. And those choices change the way... I need to go to a different area. Those choices change the way the quests actually work. And they change the way that the story actually goes, which is interesting to me, I have to admit. I like it. It's weird, but it is very Elder Scrolls-esque, and not super MMO-ish, so I'm happy with that, because, again, I have to admit that I was kind of... I was really skeptical about this game, and I still am to a certain extent, but I'm surprised, pleasantly surprised, at how fun it is to play, because it's really not bad. So let's go into a battlefield here and get some more experience going. Hang on. So welcome back. Here we have a way shrine. These are the fast travel methods throughout the world. And in classic Elder Scrolls style, what we're going to do now is just go explore to show you what the world is like. This is Morrowind, and it looks very Morrowind-ish. I mean, I've got to be honest, I think they've done a really good job. And as much as I criticize Zenimax for what they're doing to the lore, and how they don't seem to care a lot about some of it, which is upsetting to me, definitely. also they've done a good job of realizing the world. Because what I'm seeing is exciting. I like the world that they've built. Ow. And it excites me to see more of Tamriel in this engine because it actually looks pretty good. So essentially, we've got some mines and things, and I've been to a necropolis, I've been to some crypts and stuff, all very Elder Scrolls locations, and they've felt like an attached world, because they have been, really. There aren't a lot of load screens. For example... What? Right. For example, things like, say, load screens when going into towns. That doesn't really happen. It's very open town-ish, like in Morrowind. There are some load screens in the game, especially when you fast travel, but for the most part, things seem to be okay. So, combat. This is how combat works. He was about to do an ability and I was able to interrupt him. You'll see creatures throw out these red lines around them in different shapes and sizes that will show you they're about to attack in some way, and you need to either interrupt them or avoid it. So these shulks can spit fire, and it will do that. So that little red funnel shape on the ground there. I can get out of the way, or I can wait for it, and then shield bash them before they do it to interrupt them and stun them. This isn't an alright combat system. They killed me because they're a higher level than me. Whoops. Fighting two of those things at once, not the best idea sometimes. And, this is pretty cool looking. I mean, it's immersive, and it's hard to make an immersive world in an MMO, in my opinion. That might just be me. It might just be a problem with me that it's difficult for me to get immersed in MMOs, but it is. And this one's doing an alright job, because what is the Elder Scrolls about? Exploration and immersion. An MMO is not about that, really. It's about adventuring with your friends, essentially, and it's not a very immersive experience most of the time. So, I feel immersed in this world. I can just forget the other people are playing sometimes, and go around and just fight stuff, explore, find runes, find treasure chests to unlock, find missing models, and do random quests that I come across. Like all of this, for instance. I found Strife Swarm Hive. Presumably, I can get in here and probably do a quest or something, which again, very Elder Scrolls. Let's help him out with these Kwama. Also, the first person is pretty good. Some people say it's more of a gimmick, but I think it's... British guy. But I think it's not all that gimmicky, really. I think it's satisfying. Animation quality, both first and third person, is pretty good. It's not amazing. But I agree with the chat right now, the starter areas are not that good. They're just not. They're not that great. One of my biggest problems with this game is its combat, really, in terms of comparing it to the other Elder Scrolls games. And the second problem I'd have to say is that starting out, it's not great. The starter zone is boring. It's not all that interesting in terms of questing. It's not super MMO-esque, but it's pretty confined. It doesn't feel like an Elder Scrolls experience, really. So that's unfortunate, but it is just the starting area, and once you get out of it, I feel like it gets a bit better. Popped down my ultimate, which did not work, apparently. Am I gonna desync here? Looks like it, because I can't attack or anything. It's a beta, folks. I'm gonna desync. Give me a minute. Jeez.
I knew skeletons weren't enough. I should have summoned some Daedra to protect this place. Or a fire Atronach. That would have been good.
It probably would have, yeah.
I don't remember how. Don't look at me that way, worm. I'm dead. Details fade over time.
That's fair, I guess. I like this guy.
If you want to learn, I'll conjure a vision of the past. That should show you. Ritual implements. A skull and a candle, unless tomb robbers got them. Look in the vaults to the east and west. There's a puzzle lock on each one, and no, I don't remember the solution.
Oh god.
Good luck with
Okay.
that.
Yeah, thanks.
I can't perform the ritual without my implements. I don't even have hands to pick them up. That's annoying. East and west tombs, candle and skull. And whatever you do, don't, do something, you know, that thing.
Yeah, sure. I like him. I like this guy. Alright. So what you saw there was just a little example of the voice acting I wanted to show, because I like that character, and I wanted to show that I think the voice acting in this game is pretty good. You have the, of course, classic Jennifer Hale in the beginning, who is in every game ever, literally, and even Dumbledore shows up. Yes, Dumbledore's voice actor, because, as you know, he also voice acted in a trailer for them, and he shows up as the voice of the Prophet, who is a main character in the game. You actually start the game out in Cold Harbor, Realm of Oblivion, Molag Bal's Realm of Oblivion, which actually looks pretty cool and suitably Molag Bal. Now what you're seeing in the background right there is the morphing of the abilities. Now, obviously this is from the stream, so there's a very noticeable drop in visual quality at this point. I apologize for that. But the beta is crashing horribly, and I have to use stream footage to sort of prove my points here. So, this is how the skill system works. As you can see in the background there are various trees, each with different abilities within them. You spend skill points you get when you level up, and also when you find 3 of these collectibles hidden in the world called Sky Shards, to purchase abilities. Once you max an ability out at level 4, you can morph it, and you saw there it had a couple of mutually exclusive options that changed the way the ability worked. I like this system. All of the abilities so far, I don't know about ultimates, but I know all of those standard abilities can be morphed into 2 different forms, and since they're mutually exclusive, you can only choose one. I like that. I don't know if these morphed abilities can then be leveled up and morphed again. I don't know if passives can change, and I don't know if ultimates can morph, but that system is pretty cool. The skill system works in a suitably Elder Scrolls way, meaning you get things like, for instance, level ups. It's all based on one large experience bar, your level, that then increases other stuff under it, just like an Elder Scrolls game. So you have your level, and you also have all of your skills, and they have separate experience bars that go up faster than your main one and all contribute to your main one. And then getting farther in that will level up the skills under it, allowing you to morph them and unlock new versions of those skills, and also more skills as you go on. So essentially that's how pretty much all this works, and what you'll be seeing for the most part throughout this footage in the background is me fighting in a necropolis in Morrowind, which is pretty cool looking. The combat's alright, the questing isn't too bad, the characters are well voice acted, and there are more than 5 voice actors, which is good. The way the exploration works is interesting. You basically will, of course, stumble upon new cities and settlements, and once you're there will be a bunch of people that you can talk to do quests for. And you can sort of solve that particular zone's problems, and once you do it, you will sort of clear it. It will even say on the screen that this area was cleared. And by doing that, you can, move on. It reminds me of Guild Wars 2, often, which is alright, I think, for this kind of MMO, this more action-y based one. The Guild Wars 2-esque elements don't stop there. You also have sort of world events that you can just join in on without being a member of a party. There are actually public dungeons. You can go into a dungeon and fight with people. Just while exploring zones, you can fight with people. You can kill the same mobs and loot the same bodies, even though you're not in the party together, which makes the whole thing a bit less finicky, which is necessary, I feel, in an Elder Scrolls MMO. But then it comes down to the fact that it is an MMO, and what a lot of people are used to, and what I prefer in the Elder Scrolls universe, is I'm the chosen one. Yeah, I'm a hero. I am maybe a villain, but I am a special person. But in the case of an MMO, you're only special somewhat, because so is every other player. They're just as special as you are. Yes, those guys killed me. Don't make fun of me too much. So, that sense of you being the chosen one is diminished, because you aren't. really. They sort of do that in the lore by saying that you are part of an army of chosen ones, quote unquote, from Cold Harbor. You were dead and have been brought out of that area, and you are now soulless and wandering the world, trying to help out with this invasion. You have Molag Bal and his anchors trying to draw Tamriel into his realm of living. You have the Covenant invading places. You have all kinds of stuff, but what it comes down to is you are not the hero, you are a hero, and some people just aren't really into that, and I can't blame them. It was weird for me. It's weird trying to immerse yourself in an Elder Scrolls experience, and then some other guy walks by. It just feels unnatural, because I love the Elder Scrolls games. I've loved them since Buggerfall. Yes, Daggerfall was the first one I ever played. That was back in 2000, about a year after it came out. And it was fun. I liked it. And for all the problems they have, one of their biggest strengths is that they are a fine-tuned, sort of, single-player experience. It's never been about multiplayer. There's only one multiplayer Elder Scrolls games out there, not counting mods. And it's not even in the main series. So what basically I've come up with as a conclusion is that I like it. I was surprised that I like it. But I don't know if I like it enough. I'm torn because I did enjoy it. I was pleasantly surprised by it. You could, of course, add just your friends, basically, and then instance all those other people out and not have anyone, and basically just have it be you, like a single-player experience. But that would make a lot of the content a lot harder, and that means you couldn't do everything, because it's an MMO, there's going to be group and guild-based content and stuff. And that brings me to the point that there's going to be a lot of content that you have to experience in a certain way. And that's not what the Elder Scrolls is about. It's about building a character how you want to and doing things how you want to do them in whatever order you want to do them. And that kind of model doesn't fit an MMO. That's not how scaling works, that's not how balance works, that's not how content delivery works in an MMO. Which makes this whole thing kind of confusing to deal with. But what I've basically come up with as a conclusion on the Elder Scrolls Online, as it was presented in this weekend's beta, was I was pleasantly surprised, I enjoyed it, but I can't see myself playing it because of the subscription. If it was buy to play, say $40 or $50, maybe even $60, there seems to be a lot of content. Buy to play, no subscription. I could actually see myself trying it out because it was enough fun for me to say, yeah, there seems to be a lot there. I love the crafting system, I love the exploration factor and how it rewards you. I like the classes are interesting. The fact that you have these different races as in a normal Elder Scrolls game, but you also have these three sort of guilds, I guess you could call them, is interesting. The story seems to be pretty alright as someone who is really into the Elder Scrolls lore, but also there's the fact that Zenimax doesn't seem to know exactly what they're doing with the lore and is honestly ruining it in a couple of different ways somewhat, such as Cyrodiil suddenly not being a jungle, what the heck. But for the fact that I don't consider it a mainline Elder Scrolls experience and could just play it as an MMO, I think I could if not for the subscription. But that's just my opinion, and of course you can form your own. You can very much do that. If you want to try to get into the beta, I'll link the site for you below. There will probably be more beta events. So that's my conclusion, really, I guess. I like it. There are a lot of aspects of it I like, more than aspects of it I don't like. The parts I don't like are not hugely problematic until it comes down to the fact that you gotta pay a subscription to play. And even though I enjoyed it, I don't think I enjoyed it that much. But that's only my opinion, and of course, feel free to form your own. I just hope this is sort of a good guide to people that are looking towards this, because I know there are a lot of people that just... gameplay has been very scarce. Yeah, and now that this beta is filmable, well, people need to know what this game really looks like. And this is what it looks like. It's a very pretty game. By the way, it's quite the thing. But, yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. I want to see more of Tamriel in this engine and the world they've built. I want to see Valenwood, I want to see Somerset Isle, I want to see Blackmarsh. Because Morrowind is very well realized, and the starting areas of Skyrim and Oblivion and Cold Harbor were pretty impressive. But that subscription just kills it for me, man. It really does. So there you go. I mean, that's that, I guess. That's my opinion on the beta as it was for us this weekend. It was fun. I did enjoy it. There's a lot that I'm not sure about. The combat, I feel, could be better. My Elder Scrolls loot horror senses of wanting to pick up everything, obviously that's not how balance in an MMO works, so you can't just go around looting everything. But like I said, I feel like it's more Elder Scrolls than it is MMO, even if just by a little bit, even if it's, a bit 60-40, which is, it's good. I don't think it's an objectively bad game. I think it's maybe not for me with the current model as planned. I think I could see myself playing it maybe for a while. Not as long as I have single-player Elder Scrolls experiences, but enjoying it, dipping in and out, if not for that subscription model. But honestly, I was surprised. I don't think it's as bad as I thought it was going to be. I don't know if that's an endorsement, but it's not a bad game. It was enough fun. Variety in combat, not really there for me. Variety in equipment, definitely there. The world building and stuff, excellent, except for the destruction of the lore here and there. And story-wise, pretty strong. So there you guys go. I hope this helps some people. I would suggest trying to get into the beta, even if you find yourself skeptical like I was and still am to some extent, and not super interested, because it's not bad. And maybe you'll find yourself a bit surprised. So thanks for watching. I hope this helps some people out. That would be my final judgment, I suppose, on the current form of the Elder Scrolls Online. Obviously, it's a beta, a lot can change, but as it is right now, good, not great, but good. That subscription model is what really does it in for me. So we'll see how the future of this game goes. I'm still interested, I'm going to keep an eye on it, and more beta events will be filmed, as long as they allow it. If I'm invited to another one, which I believe I am, and there are more in the future, I will film them. I'll talk about what's changed. I'll talk about if it's improving, if it's going down the drain, whatever happens. So, again, thanks for watching. Hope this helped. And that was the Elder Scrolls Online beta, everyone. It's pretty much over now, so, hopefully they'll invite some more people. A bit buggy, honestly, but it's a beta. What do you expect? So, there you go. Final judgment. Time will tell. I'll see you guys next time.